Democrats scrambling to remove President Trump from office as soon as possible. 10 days remain in his term, and dozens of Democrat lawmakers have come forward calling for Trump to be removed either through impeachment or the 25th Amendment. Also, more fallout from Wednesday's storming of the Capitol, including resignations and even the removal of many top conservative voices and GOP members, including the president. Social media, stuff like that. Welcome to The Count. It is Saturday, January 9th. I'm Rob Schmitt. Good to see you on this Saturday night. Political analyst Mark Halperin is also with us. Mark, good to see you.
Good to see you.
And the first full week of 2021 proving that the madness did not end with 2020. That is for sure. We started the week with the Georgia runoff elections, which now seem so long ago. But of course, a major story with the Democrats taking control of the Senate. It's 50-50. Kamala Harris will be 51 now. The vote to certify the presidential election results on Capitol Hill erupted into chaos, as we saw Wednesday. Congress returned to the Capitol Wednesday night to rush the certification. They got it done fast through the night. And we have seen a mass exodus from the Trump administration, with some allies even turning their backs on the president amidst the crisis at the Capitol. Finally, we saw President Trump apparently just concede the election without saying the word concede, but saying that there's going to be a new administration, but not without saying that the presidential election had been stolen from him again. And breaking news today, a West Virginia lawmaker who filmed himself and supporters of the president storming the Capitol, announcing that he is resigning. On Friday, yesterday, he said he would not step down and that he had committed no criminal act that day. Derek Evans, though, reversing course, saying in a statement that he now felt it was best to resign his seat in that state house. Mark, welcome to the mayhem. What a week. What do you make of all this?
This is a chaotic end to an administration like we've never seen.
Yeah.
And the president and his followers have a couple of week and a half now to figure out how they want to end things. We still have the prospect of more pardons. There's talk of the president now going after these social media platforms, talk of him maybe taking a visit to the border. So it is going to end, the Trump administration is going to end the way it began and the way it has been, which is making a lot of news with the president at the center of things.
And the anger coming from Democrats right now, I mean, they are very, very, very angry, and they're not afraid to show it.
It's hard to find anybody in this country who's interested in politics, whether they're on the left or the right, who doesn't think we're in the midst of a constitutional crisis. It's just defined in different ways by different people. And right now, you really can't overstate the level of anger in the Congress at the president, on the part of Democrats, to be sure, but also some Republicans. Very unhappy with the president for putting them in the position they felt he put them in on Wednesday.
And what about the Republican Party? I mean, what is the status quo of this party right now?
It is still Donald Trump's party. You know, I said the other day that he's still the king of the hill. He's a smaller king on a smaller hill, but there's no one else in the Republican Party who has anything like his following. And now that it appears that there's anger at him within the party, amongst elites at least, the question is what happens on January 20th to the leadership of the party? Is it still Donald Trump's party, a man without Twitter, or is it the party of many leaders, or does some small number of leaders emerge? We don't know right now, but we know that Donald Trump is unlikely to want to give up the control and the influence he's had. And people who want to reject everything about Trump, I think, misunderstand the current nature of the conservative movement. They are followers of Donald Trump, the man, but they're also followers of a lot of what Donald Trump has stood for and argued for, including a very anti-establishment point of view.
Yeah, and I still think that point of view, even though this is not ending well, I think that point of view is still very strong. And I think that that is the party going forward, no matter how much the Romneys and the others want to go back to the way things were. I don't think it ever goes back that direction. I think in 2022, if they want to win, they have to embrace those same ideals.
Well, certainly being anti-Washington, being anti-establishment, being against extended foreign wars, being for a different relationship with China, those are things that I think are still extremely popular, not just within the MAGA movement, but with a lot of Americans. So as people in the Republican Party and the conservative movement think about where do we go next, they have to think about a lot of what Donald Trump did. Maybe not all of it, but a lot of what he did, what he stood for, what he espoused, what he led.
Yeah, absolutely. Mark, stand by for us. We're going to be joined now by Congressman Pat Fallon, a Republican representative from the great state of Arizona. Sir, good to talk with you tonight. I want to join with you and talk just where we were leaving off, the future of the party, the Republican Party. How does this thing move forward at this point? It's been a long week.
Rob, thanks for having me on. I have to say that I'm from Texas, just to correct you. If I did not say that, my constituents would I
do apologize for that.
Pitchforks.
Well, good to see you from the state of Texas, sir. So at least we're close, right?
Southwest, right?
Yeah, there you go.
No, but in answer to your question, and Mark's comments were very adroit as well. We need to focus more so on, and we can be fierce in our ideals, but we also need to be friendly. I think one of the most important and underrated aspects and virtues of politics is to be likable. And I don't think there's not many people out there screaming about President Trump's policies. Of course, the Democrats are, but I'm talking about those in the Senate that really determine who wins the election in November every 4 years. But they're talking more about personality. And some folks obviously had a problem with some of the things he said and some of the things he did in the way he went about things, but not his policy per se. So I think we need to be far more likable. I think we need to be accountable, approachable, accessible, and make sure that folks understand that they are going to be heard. A populist approach is going to be the future of the party. We have our freshman class. We have a very diverse class. We have a diversity of thought, race, region, and it's dynamic. And we have a young class as well. We have folks in their 30s. We have even one in their 20s. And I think that's the party moving forward, is to leverage some technology, but also get out there and I've done, as a state senator and state rep, I've done over 200 town halls in person and called it no holds barred. You could ask me whatever you want. Folks responded to that. We've never even had a close election. And I think that's really the way we have to go moving forward.
Yeah, it's interesting. Who do you think leads this party? Mark over here thinks that, it's going to be Donald Trump, that he's going to be still the leader of the party in general. Who do you believe?
That's a great question, and time will tell. I think Kevin McCarthy has done a great job as the leader in the House, and it'll be interesting to see what happens in the Senate once they become, and they go into the minority, and then who emerges there. Will it be Mitch McConnell again, or will it be a new voice? But we've got some great governors. We have a deep bench. Names that come to mind, of course, are Senator Tim Scott and Kristi Noem in South Dakota. I think Governor Noem is incredibly impressive, and she's presidential timber. So we'll see what happens, but. We all have to we have 213 Republicans in the House, and we have 50 in the Senate. We all have to take the lead right now. I think his power is going to be, or at least leadership will be, decentralized to some degree. And, keep the movement alive, stoke the flames, and we'll go into the midterm strong.
The Democrats are coming after the Republican Party real hard right now. They're very mad. What do you make of the situation?
Well, they're professionals at outrage, and these are the folks that, their currency is divisiveness. Their currency is racial politics and identity politics, and that's unfortunate. And the tone, I'm coming from a Texas legislature that 99% of the bills that we pass have at least some bipartisan support. And then going into this, it's all of 1 week. I couldn't believe the vitriol, and I was warned about it, but it really is something that we need to find things that we can work together on. Particularly when Nancy Pelosi only has a 9-seat majority, it's 222 to 213. I'm hopeful. Maybe I'm the eternal optimist, but I don't know if that'll happen. But listen, I love liberals. I just don't want them making laws. And I want to attack maybe some really stupid ideas, but I'm not going to attack the person, because we might be working on something. Infrastructure and transportation shouldn't be partisan at all. Yeah. So there's a line we desperately need that. So there are things that we can work on moving forward, but will Nancy Pelosi, will Joe Biden, and will Chuck Schumer want to show actual American leadership or just Democratic leadership?
Yeah. You're looking forward to 2022 now. That's the next election, and it comes fast. It's a midterm. It's going to be very important, because right now we have very, very closely divided power. The Senate's going to be 50-50. The House is just a few seats. What's the strategy?
I saw something very interesting, that if President Trump had just performed as well as the Republicans collectively in each congressional district, and put him in aggregate in each of the battleground states, he would have had 4 more years in office. So I think the policies, we've got the right, we have the right approach with policy, but we need to ensure that we do it. Ironically, it might seem simple, oversimplified, but in a likable fashion. And he did definitely. I met a lot of people that said they never even voted before, but they voted for President Trump, and he had coattails, ironically. And we need to really show people and define what Republicans are. If we let the Democrats define who we are, we're not going to take back the House or the Senate in 2022. But if we define ourselves, and we have, and quite frankly, Newsmax is one of the great outlets, because they're not, the big tech can't censor you. They might try, but that's one of the things that's most, who would have ever thought?
Yeah.
Yeah. Rob, we were always the defenders of the Second Amendment, but now the Republican Party has to be defenders of the First Amendment.
Yeah, which is just scary enough. Real quick, finally, in Georgia, how did Georgia happen? How did those Senate seats go to these two? I mean, it's just an incredible story.
It's really perplexing. And unfortunately, again, about 40% of the American public in a presidential election is going to vote Republican pretty much by default. And the same thing with Democrats. So it's 40-40, and then it's that 20% in the middle. And I just have met too many people. You see it scientifically in the polling, and you see it anecdotally, that said, yes, I like some of your ideas, or I'll split my ticket, but I just can't vote for the president. And it made me pull my hair out, because it's like, you're not going to ever meet the guy. I think he's actually a nice guy. I haven't met him yet. But some people, you're not going to become friends with the guy. Let him lead the country, because his policies are things that do really work. So Georgia was, I don't know, it was a fallout, and it was airtight. It was basically a tie that didn't go our way. And we need to ensure election integrity moving forward, voter integrity. I think voter ID is a big, important thing. And because all Americans, if we lose a tight race, that's okay. We can move forward and accept it. But we have to believe that it was fairly done.
I agree. I do agree with that. Congressman Pat Fallon from the state of Texas. Good to see you, sir. Thanks for coming on.
From Texas. Thanks, Rob. I'll come by. I'll come back anytime.
I love Texas. All right. Thank you, sir. All right. New questions emerge about the chaos at the Capitol and the role of law enforcement as well. We're going to talk about that when we come back. Also, talking about the COVID crisis. The death toll is skyrocketing. The number's bad right now. Why Joe Biden's latest plan seems to go against what the medical community is advising. We'll discuss that. Later, the growing rift within the Republican Party. What can be done to repair that fracture, bring the party back together? Stay tuned.